million walkway constructed at Wakapau. Massive ministerial outreach hosted in all 15 constituencies of Georgetown, and $6 million in presidential grants awarded to indigenous communities. These stories and more in this week's InfoHub recap, where we review stories covered for the week of March 18th to 22.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge on Monday officially opened the National Capacity Building Workshop for Guyana's National Community on Trade Facilitation in support of implementation of the World Trade Organization's Trade Facilitation Agreement.
The forum is a result of ongoing engagements between the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development and the Government of Guyana. According to Minister Greenidge, it provides an opportunity for discussion on a subject that is very important to Guyana, strengthening the nation's competitiveness, increasing exports, and growing the economy.
Trade facilitation is a key component of trade policy and involves collaboration with a number of partners. I'm therefore pleased to see the wide representation of the regulatory agencies of Guyana's National Trade Facilitation Committee, the NTFC, here today. I believe that this reflects your understanding of your roles in facilitating implementation of this agreement.
What exactly is the Trade Facilitation Agreement, and why is it even necessary? Minister Greenidge explains that despite the gains to world trade through dismantling of tariffs and quota systems, the continued presence of inefficient and unpredictable measures remains a barrier to global trade. There are some bureaucratic delays and red tape which make the process of moving goods across borders a burdensome one for traders.
Therefore, the completion of negotiations on the Trade Facilitation Agreement, which entered into force on the 22nd of February 2017, following its ratification by two-thirds of the WTO membership, has been seen as a watershed moment for the world trading system. It was meant to contribute to the simplification, modernization, and harmonization of export and import processes. In essence, it should ensure that global trade grows faster, is cheaper, and more predictable.
For InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
As Guyana prepares to undertake a voluntary national review later this year, the government has set out to ensure all sectors are well prepared.
Under the theme, Empowering People and Ensuring Inclusiveness and Equality, the United Nations meeting of the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development in 2019 will be held from July 9 through 18. Speaking at the opening of the workshop on achieving performance targets at the Arthur Chung Convention Center, Finance Minister Winston Jordan said a multi-agency collaboration is required for the achievement of all SDGs.
I have observed that the approaches adopted to achieve the national development priorities of our country have in many instances suffered from several gaps of evidence-based decision-making. Proposals are made, for example, for capital investments without thought about cost of maintenance. Products are proposed for implementation without the benefit of feasibility studies. People are trained for job readiness, and then money is requested to train more without understanding if those previously trained were actually in jobs.
According to the minister, the government has adopted program budgeting techniques which has strengthened its ability to measure performance.
We strive within the public sector to deliver services more effectively and timely. In education, we strive to produce quality students who are lifelong learners, who are able to contribute creatively and innovatively to the development agenda.
Included in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, participating countries are seeking to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, reduce inequality within and among countries, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts, and promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
A $20 million timber walkway constructed in Wakapau, an indigenous village in the Pomeroon Supinam Region 2, was officially commissioned.
The new 1,284 feet wooden bridge is equipped with steel rails along with solar lights and 3 huts in case of rain. The bridge links Mairi and Borada to a forte island in Wakapau. The new structure replaces an old makeshift bridge along a treacherous path that was prone to accidents. The government came in for high praises for heeding the residents' call for a new structure.
This is an important occasion for us here in Wakapau, and we are very happy that from the time of the National Teachers Conference, when the announcement was made and by the Honorable Minister that the ministry will undertake the construction of this bridge, I was very, very happy. And to be told within the same week by the engineer, Mr. Kevin Samad, that it was going to be tendered out, or whatever process it was, advertised in the papers. Today we have the reality of the bridge, and we are so happy.
Seeing that this bridge has been built here, I feel so great. The reason why, in time past, we used to suffer a lot. You know, because we used to walk on wrong wood.
Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson explained that a total of $5 million worth of timber was purchased from the community to construct the walkway.
Not only are we giving you a walkway, I'm happy to say that some of the money that we would have spent, which is the government's money and all your money, remained in the community. And it's a model which I would like to export to other villages.
Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock said that the construction of the bridge is a manifestation of the government's commitment to bridge the gap between the hinterland and the coastland.
This bridge here, I'm hoping and I'm asking, don't destroy it. Labor, money, hard-earned money, it is yours. Own it, protect it, care it.
Of the $20 million allocated to the project, only $16 million was spent on the bridge itself. The remaining sum will be utilized for another community project. The residents have already signaled that the school's walkway needs urgent attention.
From the newly constructed Wakapau Bridge in the Pomeroon Supinam region, with senior videographer Kenyan Bacchus, Anarakan for InfoHub.
The Cato Secondary School, a flagship educational institution located in the North Pakarima region of Patara Siparuni, was commissioned by Minister of Education Dr. Nicolette Henry.
Residents of North Pakarima, Patara Siparuni region now have access to a high-quality and self-sufficient secondary school located in Cato, which houses approximately 350 students, teachers, and auxiliary staff.
After its much-delayed completion in 2015, the current administration undertook extensive rehabilitative works to ensure that students would be able to learn and thrive in the school, which serves 17 indigenous communities. The Education Minister, in her remarks, underscored the importance of education in the development and transformation of lives.
I believe one of our more significant promises as a sector, and certainly as a government, is to reduce the disparities between the hinterland and the coastland, and to bridge educational gap, certainly between the two communities. Today, the commissioning of Cato Secondary School marks the pathway for growth in this community, but more significantly, it represents growth in the education sector.
The facility also houses teachers' quarters, a dining hall and kitchen, a student dormitory, solar panels, a main teaching block with a library, a smart classroom, a home economics laboratory, a science lab, an information technology lab, and an industrial arts classroom. The minister was accompanied by Minister of Public Telecommunications Kathy Hughes, Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan, and several technical officers within the Ministry of Education, who all lauded the ministry's efforts to make the school fit for learning.
From the North Pakarima Sub-District 1 at the Cato Secondary School, Letitia Isaacs for InfoHub.
On Tuesday, we reported that Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman pleads for patience as efforts continue to resolve Roussel's standoff.
Right now, it's really urging the government and the union to, and the company rather, to try to expedite things. I believe we can safely say that all are being consumed, all are involved and all are being consumed by this. And my word to the loggers is to hold with us for a short while. I can't say a few hours or a few days, but certainly not a few months. We are pushing for a resolution.
In addition, Minister Trotman is urging a speedy resolution to the impasse which has affected several sectors of the economy since its inception several weeks ago.
The standoff has affected many sectors. Government is not earning revenue from the shipment of bauxite. Loggers have been affected. Employment, of course, is affected. And we are urging, certainly at my level, I've urged Minister of Social Protection to try to get a resolution to this matter as a matter of urgency.
Since dismissing some 60 workers from the Berbice River bauxite mines Monday, February 18, 2019, there has been a standoff between the Guyana Bauxite and General Workers Union and the Bauxite Mining Company, resulting in the Berbice River being blocked by disgruntled workers. With government's intervention, Roussel agreed to recognize the Guyana Bauxite and General Workers Union, and the two parties had their first bilateral meeting Friday last. Reporting for InfoHub, Kippany Jordan.
Wakapau, Kabakaburi, St. Monica, and Mainstay Wayaka in the Pomeroon Supinam Region 2 received a total of $6 million in presidential grants to embark on green sustainable community projects.
The checks were handed over by Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock during a visit to Wakapau over the weekend. He was accompanied by Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson. Wakapau received $2 million for a block-making factory, Mainstay Wayaka $1.5 million for the construction of a village office, Kabakaburi $1.5 million to build a boat, and St. Monica received $1 million for the purchase of a cassava mill and a fogging machine.
Most of our resources of finance is lumbering, and we feel that that is the way we should go at our 1.5, so we decided to construct a boat, cost 1.5 or 40 feet, Ballahu, and we are so glad about that.
We're doing some cassava mill, tree, and we're buying also a swing fog machine. That's for the Yakushi, because they are pest interfere with farmers. Once we get checked by this month, then we'll put in a piece, because the farmers are eagerly waiting for the swing fog machine.
Minister Alicock reminded that the annual presidential grants are awarded based on the community projects presented. He said that the ministry is working to ensure that these monies are disbursed in a timely manner to enable the work of the village councils.
This is not a campaign gimmick. This is the budget that we have. It's legal. We have to execute it. There's a request made by the village council. It's now being rolled out, and we have more yet to come.
Minister Alicock encouraged the village councils to engage in more environmentally friendly projects that will create jobs for the residents while at the same time generating income for the communities. In excess of $700 million was allocated through the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs for development projects in hinterland villages and communities in 2019. Of this amount, over $235 million will be invested in 215 villages and communities under the Presidential Grant Program. This is part of the government's commitment to empowering the indigenous people. Sanika Thorne, InfoHub.
Young girls were on Tuesday educated on how to protect themselves online through a cybersecurity workshop being facilitated by the National Frequency Management Unit.
The workshop, which features students from 6 schools, is part of the lead-up to Girls in ICT Day slated for April. The ITC sector is said to be the fastest growing, and according to facilitator of the workshop, Melissa Lane, the primary focus is equipping the young girls with the knowledge to protect themselves from online threats.
We're talking to them about how to protect their privacy online, what to post, what not to post, when to post, which websites are safe, which websites aren't safe, how to recognize ads that may be targeted to steal their information, how they can actually find a balance between spending hours on the screen and finding activities to do in real life that can benefit them from a health perspective.
Managing Director of NFMU, Valmiki Singh, spoke about the importance of having girls more involved in the ICT sector.
Worldwide, women and girls are very much underrepresented in the information and communications technology sector. That is a big problem because we're actually missing out on almost half of the creativity and innovativeness and the approach to problem solving from half of our population, and that is not something that we can afford to continue any longer.
Singh said the ICT sector also provides women with an alternative career option. He is also encouraging them to take advantage of the free online courses in the ICT field. The students were also enthusiastic about what they can grasp from the workshop.
Sometimes it's very important to know that females could do the same things that males could do, and I just want to know like how equal it could be between the male and females sharing the same reference in the IT world.
I love information technology, and I would like to learn how I can benefit from protecting myself from the internet.
Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Moving into Wednesday, the Court of Appeal began to hear the challenge to the acting Chief Justice's ruling on the validity of the December 21, 2018 vote in the National Assembly.
The Court of Appeal this morning began hearing the appeal against the Chief Justice's ruling in the matter of Compton Reed challenging the validity of the vote of Charandas Prasad in the National Assembly December 21 last year. Neil Boston, appearing as counsel for the appellant this morning, argued that the Chief Justice misdirected herself on the validity of Charandas Prasad's vote. Among the observations he made is that the fact that Charandas Prasad was disqualified or unqualified to be elected to the National Assembly in itself invalidated his vote. He further argued that Charandas Prasad could not have been allowed to cause a floor and his vote treated as valid since he did not have a constituency but rather was a member of a list.
Our argument is clear that the Chief Justice misunderstood the issue before her. She should have considered the alternative position where Mr. Charandas voted contrary to section 156(3) of the Constitution. If he has done so, we are not asking to decide whether his seat is vacant. We are saying that since he has contravened Article 163 of the Constitution, then we are complaining that the court can deal with that constitutional issue without the need for an election petition as set out in Section 40 of the National National Assembly Validity of Elections Act.
From the appeal court at Kingston with videographer Karim Peters, I am Kidaki Amsterdam for InfoHub.
The Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission turned the sod for a $37 million building, which will house its Region 3 office. Minister of State Joseph Harmon said this is part of the government's program to bring service to the people.
Residents of Essequibo Islands, West Demerara, Region 3 will soon have access to a new Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission GLNSC sub-office costing $37 million. Minister of State Joseph Harmon explained that the construction of this new building is part of government's program of taking services to the people.
As you know, this building that will be constructed here is part of government's program of taking service to the people. It's part of our program of decentralizing government services and ensuring that it is close as possible to the way the people are.
According to the minister, there are more services that the Lands and Surveys Commission can provide to landowners that are not being fully utilized.
There are more services that the Lands and Surveys Commission can provide to landowners that are not being provided. In many cases because the landowners and land users do not recognize that there are other services which the Commission provides.
Paulette Henry, chairperson of the board of directors at the Commission, noted her satisfaction with the sought turning of the Region 3 office.
New building following the same theme for the persons in Region 3 as we work towards improving not only the facilities for us that matters, but the quality of service we offer to persons.
The government in 2015 had committed to linking the hinterland and other inland communities with the coastland in areas of infrastructure, education, health and telecommunications and other government-provided services to ensure an equitable standard of service nationwide. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Potable water is now a reality for residents of Temeri North as the Basic Needs Trust Fund commissioned a water project in the area.
More than 6,400 residents of Temeri North are expected to benefit from a $43 million water project commissioned by the Guyana Water Authority and the Basic Needs Trust Fund. We spoke to one of them, Yvonne McPherson.
It's good for the area because a lot of people didn't have water. We used to be buying water. At least 3-4 times a week you got to buy water. And now that we get the water, it's good.
For the 52-year-old resident who has lived in the community since 2005 and thousands of others like Colin King who also gave his story of change, the project was critically needed. The Caribbean Development Bank and the coalition government-funded project is just one of 19 sub-projects spearheaded by the Basic Needs Trust Fund. BNTF's project engineer Shabana Omar.
The project comprises of 1. The installation of 8-inch PVC pipe with a total length of 4,012 feet. 2. The installation of 4-inch PVC pipe with a total length of 21,135 feet. The installation of 4 flushout points for the network. The installation of a 50 horsepower 230-volt centrifugal booster pump at the Temeri pump station. And the construction of a district meter area chamber, most commonly known as a DMA chamber, as requested by GWI to facilitate flow monitoring activities.
The Guyana Water Incorporated, according to Managing Director Dr. Richard Van West Charles, will continue to execute its mandate of supplying potable water to communities as far as possible.
I want to say that this is a change that the government is talking about, of trying to ensure that everyone across Guyana enjoys the good life. And that is the message of our president. And so we all have to pull together. It takes time sometimes because sometimes the problems are large. But we are of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And together we go forth, as we say, onward, backward never.
Dr. Van West Charles added that the project is part of the government's effort to ensure that Sustainable Development Goal number 6, the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all by 2040, is attained. From a flowing pipe in Temeri North, Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
For years, residents of Mount Sinai and Goyes Avenue constituency were left in darkness. This was despite continued petitions to the previous administration for street lights. These days are now over.
Well, when I came, to be frank, opposite me, the post immediately to my residence there had a light, a street light, which I was made to understand was there by the town council. But then when the government changed, when the PVP won the election and so on, the GPL people came and took it off.
That was Eustace McCalman, a resident of Stanleytown for over 30 years. McCalman was out and about with a few other persons along the streets of his village, which is now well lit thanks to a joint initiative between the New Amsterdam Mayor and Town Council and the Ministry of Public Infrastructure to light up the region. Speaking on behalf of the gathering there, he explained that it had been years that the area was in darkness and it took a change in administration for them to see any kind of relief.
From since then to now, only the other day when this new government come in now and the councils change and so on, we start getting lights.
Mr. McCalman was also adamant that this has allowed the community to return to a safer position as persons were now more willing to move around freely after hours.
If you see how the people coming out now, everybody glad walking out in the night now with their kids and so, as you could see the bread stand, people coming out now and buy the bread longer, you couldn't do that.
New Amsterdam and its environs are just the latest in a number of areas to be lit up. Reporting for InfoHub, Nikosi Bruce.
On Friday, Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Janet Cummings-Edwards, handed down her ruling in the case challenging the validity of the December 21, 2018 vote in the National Assembly.
Government stands. It's the majority decision of Chancellor Acting Janet Cummings-Edwards and Don Gregory of the Court of Appeal. 34 is the number required for the carriage of the no confidence vote of December 21. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Basil Williams, says he is extremely pleased with the findings of the appellate court.
We've really stretched the extremities of the law in this area, and we're happy with the result. You know, that the proper principle was applied to the computation and calculation of the vote. We always believed that it was the right computation. All we had to do was find the road satisfying the court, and I thought we did that very well. I did such a criticism, so I knew what Lord Justice Byron said about when looking at our constitution about the absolute majority, which is stronger than the simple majority. So it can't be the same amount.
Counsel for the appellants, Neil Boston, said while he is pleased with the findings of the appellate court, he is still going to approach the CCJ for a determination on whether or not Charan Das's vote could have been saved despite his ineligibility to sit in the National Assembly.
We at all the time disagree with the Chief Justice that this issue does not give rise to an election petition. It's a violation of a provision of the Constitution, and the court has jurisdiction to do that. And that is it. And we are going to go to the next level. As long as they have found that there is jurisdiction and they can look at it, and they looked at it, but the conclusion that the vote is saved by 165-2, that is what we do not agree with. And we are moving to the next stage.
I am Kidaki Amsterdam with videographer Karim Peters for InfoHub.
Amidst the opposition's cries that a constitutional crisis will ensue in Guyana after March 21, government ministers advised residents of Georgetown not to panic, but to stay calm and carry on living as President David Granger remains the president. Today, tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year, if the election is called until.
The ministers were part of a massive ministerial outreach spanning the 15 constituencies of Georgetown on Wednesday, March 20. Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge, who is performing the duties of president during a meeting in Constituency 3, East and West Camberville, encouraged residents to continue life as normal even after March 21 and not to be fooled by anyone.
If you find that in your place of work or anywhere else, people come and try to encourage you not to work, let me just remind you of the following. If you're a government employee, you have a contract. The contract does not say that you will stop working because the PPP deems there to be a constitutional crisis.
Minister Ramjatan, speaking at a meeting in Constituency 4, Newtown Kitty, told residents that the government will remain and will continue to serve the people of Guyana as it was duly elected to do.
What they're utilizing now is by saying that when the 21st of March comes, this certain 90-day period will make the government illegal. Well, it is not going to make this government illegal, brothers and sisters. We are going to be purely legal. We will have all the powers of any government because we were duly elected.
Meanwhile, in North and East La Penitence, Minister of State Joseph Harmon urged residents not to be intimidated by the opposition lies.
We should not be cowed. We should not be cowed
by language that seems to evoke unnecessary ire and the emotions of people. It is unnecessary, and we believe that it is intended to create division among our people.
For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Commissioner of Police Leslie James is urging Guyanese to keep the peace and uphold the law.
The call was made as he addressed the nation on Thursday. Commissioner James reminded that the matter surrounding the December 21 vote is still being addressed at the judiciary level.
The leadership and members of the Guyana Police Force have noted on social media notions of seeming intention to disrupt the current calm in our society. May I warn that anyone found in breach of the law will be dealt with in a condign manner. The force's membership throughout the 10 administrative regions is on high alert and endeavors to prevent and respond to any eventuality.
Similar sentiments were echoed by Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan. Minister Ramjatan called on Guyanese to remain calm and not be provoked by the falsehoods being peddled by the opposition.
We have to keep our calm because you know what they want? They want a racial war in this country. That is exactly what they want. So they're provoking people, they're provoking it, but we must not be provoked by them. We go, do we walk tomorrow, Friday, whatever? Next week we do it, we don't bother with them.
He called on them not to be fooled and said the government will remain and will continue to serve the people of Guyana as it was duly elected to do. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Residents of Barabina Hill, Mabaruma are beyond grateful for the coalition government and the outstanding work it has been doing over the past 3.5 years.
For more than 23 years, residents of Barabina Hill, Mabaruma have been wallowing through swampy lands to get to the main thoroughfare. This was the only access road for residents of the closely knitted community of close to 500 residents. Today, they are grateful for assistance from the coalition government for fixing the road.
The new government come and take over and try to help me. We suffered for 3 years after that, after the new government take over. And now, this year, they try their best to satisfy me in the community. And we satisfy and proud about the road with the new government help.
That swamp road was promised by the former government to fix that road. They tried to fix it, which cost millions of dollars, and we never had no long-term service from it. But with this government, the coalition government, we are very thankful. Before 2018, the road was a swamp, and I used to punish a lot to get to work, especially when I'm late. And when you get taxi up to the water edge, and then from there we had to walk in, and that was like a half an hour walking. And since January, I'm no longer late for work. I'm always on time because I just have to catch a taxi and I drive to work. And for me, the government has done a great job.
Government, through the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, has pumped a whopping $59.9 million to rehabilitate the roadway. Residents said they are happy that this administration had moved the road to a new location a few feet away. Construction company International Imports and Supplies undertook the project, which was completed earlier this year. The company is currently building a concrete bridge connecting the roads, much to the satisfaction of residents. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
Do remember to subscribe to our website for more stories and follow us on our social media platforms for daily updates. This has been InfoHub Recap. Goodbye.